Gynecocracy. Noun. 1. Government or rule by women, or a society with such leadership.
There must be something out of kilter.
Sojourner Truth was a truth teller. She spoke truth knowing that it might make people uncomfortable, but that these truths must be spoken.
When I think about what it means to say, ain't I a woman, it is commanding the respect we deserve.
She was challenging them to see her not simply as another woman, but as a Black woman, to acknowledge her Blackness, because it was just as important as her womanhood.
In today's political climate, there has not been full recognition of the contributions of Black women to the building of our democracy.
Our voices are not being included in a real way in the mainstream media movement that has happened. Even the Women's March, it's like, keeping it real, sisters ain't coming out here in pussy hats, okay? Like, we're just not doing it.
Transgender women of color, I think, have a really close relationship with the broader feminist movement because it's really about who has agency and control over one's own body.
Rights, equal rights, really just as my grandmother used to say, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Her response to really patriarchy, her response to sexism, and her response to white racism really allows for this movement, Black feminists, to have a foundation that brings us to have the hardest and most courageous conversations.
It's time out for you ignoring us. It's time out for invisibility. It no longer works for us. It didn't work for us then, and it certainly doesn't work for us now.
And those words she spoke were the words of representing all of the women who could not be in that room, but whose voices needed to be heard in that room.
If the first woman God ever made was able to turn the world upside down all alone, these women together ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again.
Ain't I a woman?
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 So, we use the term patriarchy often on YouTube. You often use the word matriarchy to describe what's going on in the Black communities, even though that's not definitely the best term to describe it. So we throw the word pseudo in front of it and say it's a pseudo matriarchy. Despite some people making the argument a better described word would be gynecocracy, society ruled by women. But we have these conversations, we hear them online, we hear the colorists and the swirlers and the Blackistans and the diverse chicks talk about other races and how they do this and that better and whatnot. Despite the fact that these people got their own beefs with their own women. It's weird. And these other communities have the same problems culturally with society becoming more a level playing field between men and women. But it does make you ass itch when you hear women complain about these things, but ignore the fact that the reality is not only do the women that they're talking to don't subscribe to that, but as a culture of people, we don't. And there's one element that really illustrates how much of a gynecocracy we are and how much of a pseudo matriarch we are. It's politics. We're going to unpack that real quick. What do I mean by politics being the tool in which that perfectly illustrates how the Black community is a gynecocracy or even a pseudo matriarchy? Well, let's look at this last election in 2016. How many articles, how many stories, how many hashtags did you see of Black women dictating, admonishing Black men for how they voted or lack thereof? I did want to do a video and separate this, black vote policing and black voter shaming. I guess I can just kill two birds in one stone without going too deep into the other video. But after they kill all the people who didn't vote, which was the big hoopla with Roland Martin and the rest of black YouTube and Tariq and all that, after they get them out of here, right? Because they go vote. It's important. Go do it. Your ancestors died. All that dumb shit that they do every time there's an election. Democrats are the kings of, hey, big head techs and hey, strangers. They only show up every 2 to 4 years. Then they gone. But that rhetoric was out again. It was that time of the year a few months ago during the midterms. And you saw all that people getting in their feelings and invoking our dead ancestors on why you should vote, never acknowledging the ones that chose not to vote. What about their legacy and their worldview? It doesn't matter. But I noticed after they get rid of all the people who didn't vote and admonish them and chastise them and ridicule them because their crooked ass Hillary didn't get in, they go after the people who voted for people who was not the Democrat again. God damn. So all that jazz and all that energy about you need to vote for XYZ, but then when they get them out of here, then they go attack the people who did vote but not for the candidate they don't need to vote for. Huh? When Killer Mike said he endorsed Bernie, he got heat for that. When Mark Lamont Hill endorsed Jill Stein, he got heat for that. White liberals gave Cornel West heat for going third party, right? So you saw the articles, what's up black men voting Republican. You seen the hashtag, the annoying ass hashtag, vote like black women. A young lady, Amisha Cross, she has a TV show now. She's a correspondent in DC. She's a regular every Monday on Maze Jackson. Shout out to him. I told you to listen to his channel. But she posted it on Instagram, vote like black women. I'm like, huh? What? Why? Yeah, I come out in numbers and droves and vote for candidates, but y'all don't really get shit for it. No, I want something for my vote. How about I don't vote like black women? Black women overwhelmingly support school choice, but they don't vote for school choice candidates. How, Sway? Why would I vote like you? Never mind. And it's not just black women who attack or admonish or belittle black men for not voting for the candidates that they want. It's also the elders, the bourgeoisie Negroes, you know, all the ones on Roland Martin. They also feel empowered and embodied to dictate and tell you how you should or shouldn't vote. Again, first is attack the people who don't participate as if it's not their right to do so. I wouldn't tell anybody who to vote for or who not to vote for, or whether or not. That's your own personal decision. But then after that, it's, well, you voted for third party, or you wrote somebody in, or God forbid you voted for Trump. And they're gonna attack you. They're gonna write articles. And I would say this to illustrate how much of a gynecocracy we are, how much of a pseudo matriarchy we are, despite the women complaining about what men aren't doing, ignoring the fact that they don't live in that community that operates that way. It's politics. Show me another race of men where women can write articles telling their men how to vote. I'll wait. When you usually hear that, you think, well, I know exceptions to the rules. You don't. You haven't seen any articles. You don't even see articles admonishing the Hispanic community for not coming out. They could take over politics with the numbers easily, right? They could kill the black vote and make it pointless. But they don't come out in the numbers that we come out in. But their community don't get admonished the way we do. They vote 70-30 Republican. So do Asians. So do Jews. Most groups do that. White people split their vote. And they don't get admonished for that either. Now, I'll make a point. After the election, when crooked Hillary lost, The next day, after you saw Roland Martin sweating profusely, crying and giving that same old bullshit, we gonna fight till the ice freeze over. He said every goddamn speech he does. He's on YouTube the next day and he called black men who voted for Trump stupid. Right? This is after calling the black people who don't vote stupid. Like, damn. So you don't have any amenity as an individual. You don't vote, you're dumb, stupid. He's going to call you that. You vote for the candidate he doesn't like, you're dumb, you're stupid. How professional is that? But after the election, and I understood what that was, he tap danced, he bootlicked, he did a wobble on stage with Hillary. It was a joke. It wasn't funny, nigga. My bad. Excuse my French. He did all that on stage with her because he thought that he was going to be that black journalist in the White House. He thought he was going to be the Michael Eric Dyson to Obama's administration. He thought he was going to be that to crooked Hillary's. Didn't happen. He went so as far to help Donna Brazile get him to debate the questions, which goddamn near got him fired from CNN. Again, second time. But he called the 14% of black men stupid. But that's not the problem, right? That's standard. Most black people feel that way about black Republicans anyways, right? But the context in which he called them stupid was Jeff Sessions. Well, how does that work? His argument is that Jeff Sessions is your attorney general and you should hate that Trump won because he picked him because you're criminals. Like, what? No. If you listen to the context in which Roland Martin called black men stupid, it was because of Jeff Sessions and criminal justice. Newsflash, Roland. And one thing I will agree with Tariq is that black people need to not make criminal justice reforms synonymous with black people. Because it's dangerous when they'll give you that bone to say, all right, we did this for you and we're done. But he said that they were stupid in the context of Jeff Sessions. So in his mindset, Roland Martin, the Boule Bird, views black men as criminals, even though about 1 million of us are in or around that criminal justice system. What about the other 20 million of us who are not? So why are we stupid? And from what I understand, according to some articles, it was educated black men that voted for Trump. So them motherfuckers not even worried about Jeff Sessions. Unfortunately, I thought it would be more blue-collar black men who would vote for Trump, being that TTP, NAFTA, those things hurt them. If they gave white men colds, they gave black men the flu. But apparently not. It wasn't. I would think that out of college in this era, all the, the way that they're teaching kids and brainwashing them, I didn't think you would groom some black men to vote Republican out of that. But oddly enough, it was educated black men in that 14% that voted for Trump. Now, mind you, he didn't call the 4% of black women who voted for Trump stupid. No. He actually went on a long purpose rhetoric of 95% of black women voted for Trump. 95% black sound like Porky Pig and shit. He did it on purpose. He purposely juxtaposed us. He helped push that so-called gender war between black men and women when it comes to politics. Don't believe me? Let's look. So you see that on your screen right there. That is your Boule Bird Twitter feed. 94% of black women voted against at the real Donald Trump. So he's making a point, saying that 94 voted against him. 13% of black men for brothers for Trump. Hope y'all realize he's screwing you. Now, again, his commentary on that is understood. He thought he was going to be in the White House. He, like many other black women, wanted to find somebody to blame for crooked Hillary not winning. But why would he highlight this discrepancy? The first thing he'll tell you is that there was a 9-point gap between Obama and Mitt Romney and John McCain. So that's nothing new. He'll keep reiterating that, saying, well, when people point out that Trump got a higher percentage of the black vote than any other Republican or the last two Republicans, he'll try to dismiss that and say, well, that same 9-point gap existed between Obama and Mitt Romney and John McCain and Mitt Romney. It's nothing new. But if you want to dismiss when we give him credit for getting those votes, then why would you do some shit like this? Why would you highlight that? Why would you want to highlight this information and harp on it several times? Because you have an agenda. Because you participated in this little bullshit gender war. Because you know majority of your followers are probably women. Huh? Let's dive deeper. There's more. Oh yeah, and let's not forget the fact that you're saying that they're screwing us, but 94% of black women voted for Hillary Clinton, the husband of the president who signed the mass incarceration law, right? The woman who laughed and said the people who got screwed over in a market crash, it was your fault. Now I believe that there was some culpability for a lot of Americans who were ignorant and didn't know the laws and the rules and what they could qualify as far as loans. I do agree with that. We blame presidents for this and that, and there's definitely personal responsibility in that. But you can't laugh and joke about something that damn near wiped out half of black wealth because of a policy that your husband admits he put on steroids. He takes full responsibility saying this was Jimmy Carter's in 1970, but I took that shit and put it on steroids. More of these that have been done under my administration than any time before. And then at the time, my bitch ass governor, Governor Cuomo, who was the HUD secretary, I got receipts. He goes on and says, we know that these loans are bullshit. We know that these are going to be defaults. And that shit damn near wiped out the country. And somehow Bush got blamed for it, but it was really the Clinton administration. But let's get back to what we're talking about here.
He is doing right now when it comes to rolling back Obama-era changes when it comes to American drug laws. What does he want to do? Oh, let's just throw folks in prison. He says even the low-level, nonviolent drug offenders, yeah, that's what he actually decided to do, telling prosecutors go after the harshest sentences available. Even though we've had bipartisan efforts to roll back mandatory minimums and people in prison. Well, that's what we have going on now because of AG Jeff Sessions. And to the 13% of the black men out there who voted for Donald Trump, yes, you're stupid. 13% of the black men out there who voted for Donald Trump, yes, you're stupid too, okay? 13% of the black men out there who voted for Donald Trump, yes, you're stupid too. AG Jeff Sessions. And to the 13% of the black men out there who voted for Donald Trump, yes, you're stupid. AG Jeff Sessions. And to the 13% of the black men out there who voted for Donald Trump, yes, you're stupid too, okay? Because guess what? This has nothing to do when it comes to jobs or the economy. It has to do with him being, I'm going to be Mr. Tough on crime. He made that announcement just last week.
So y'all heard that bullshit, right? The bootleg bird called the 13% of black men who voted for Trump stupid. He said, y'all stupid too. All this energy, and he's hurt. Again, this is like a day or two after the election, so keep that in mind. He's still hurt. He thought he was getting them interviews and going to write a book and all that stuff about crooked ass Hillary. But look at the context in which he said that the black men were stupid. Now, I got receipts, man. So listen to this, right? How the fuck do you like Kamala Harris, despite her criminal justice record, but you hate Jeff Sessions? He just said that Jeff Sessions wanted to roll back Obama's minimum marijuana things. What is Kamala Harris' record on marijuana? What is Kamala Harris on letting out prisoners who are low-level offenders? What is Kamala Harris? Hell, Jeff Sessions ain't never tried to lock nobody's parents up for kids not going to school. How can you hate Jeff Sessions, who's no longer here, but you're going to vote for Kamala Harris when they've implemented some of the same goddamn policies? Oh. So I want to pivot real quick. We got receipts, right? So in Florida, The dude who monkeyed it up. I mean, whatever. Ron DeSantis got 18% of the black female vote. Gullum, the moist ass, Beijing wearing AR-15 one abandoned, he got 90% of the black male vote in Florida. Now, there have been articles pontificating, how did this happen? What went wrong? No attacks. No, hey, what's up with black women voting for DeSantis over Gillum? None of that. Now, your bullet bird, I was watching him. I watched that motherfucker, right? At first, he hit you with this, well, because I knew he was going to do some John Madden stats and try to find a way to make stuff not matter. First thing he did, because he listens to the Twitter and what's being said on YouTube, he does listen. He do read the comments. He knew that was a conversation being had. Now, compare what he did to black men. He called the 13% of black men stupid in the context of Jeff Sessions, who's not here anymore, right? Educated black men voted for Trump. Not Pookies and Ray Rays worried about Jeff Sessions and drug charges. But compared to how he responded to black women who voted for DeSantis. So with the black women, first thing he said was, well, this poll data don't matter. It depends on how many people get counted. That was his first thing. He threw it out there on the low. A couple weeks later, he has a black woman on the show. I'm thinking, oh, she the expert of Florida data, polls, and gather. She ain't no shit. She talking about, well, I don't know, man. That just don't seem right. Like, that might be wrong. We need to wait to get more research. The Boule Bird interjects, because he don't let his guests finish speaking. He invites you on, asks you a question, and don't let you fucking talk. Let's get back to the topic. So he goes and says, well, DeSantis was strong on school choice. Gillum, like most Democrats, was anti-school choice. So there was a valid actual reason that Roland Martin gave the black women of Florida for voting for DeSantis, the monkey it up guy, over Gillum. Now, what he didn't do was attack the black women, call them names like a little fucking child. He gave them credit and said, there's nuance. There's a reason why they did this. Democrats have to address this, right? And again, Roland Martin, as am I, is a proponent of school choice. But notice, he did not attack them. He did not criticize them. He said there might be a valid reason. So black men, you couldn't have had a business and it's like, yo, Obama here screwed me. Obama here screwed me. I had a doctor. I had my plan. My shit went up. My deductible was 10 G's. That's not really healthcare. Hillary Clinton was supporting TTP and NAFTA and all that other shit, sending jobs overseas. I couldn't do that. No valid reason. In fact, Roland Martin specifically said, it ain't about the economy and jobs. You black men, you stupid 13 black men. No. So they got nuance, the 18% of black women in Florida. They got a conversation about why this might be. They got told, well, the Democrats need to look at this because this could have cost them election. Now, what he did do was he blamed the black folks who did not come out and vote in Florida because that election was lost by like 32 or 33,000 votes. One thing that's funny, side note, you keep hearing all these people talk about in Florida the ex-cons can vote, and they're all assuming that the people are going to vote Democrat. Out of the million or so people, only 20% of them are black. So you assume that policy is going to benefit black people and that's going to take over Florida, and Florida's going to turn purple or turn blue. But when you look at the numbers, the majority of the people who are affected by that are not even black. Back to the topic. So again, Roland shitted on the 13% of the black men who voted for Trump, but he gave nuance and explanations and had conversations and brought on experts to try to break down why black women. And then he goes on to say, well, Democrats got to look at this because they are very anti-school choice, and that's what hurt Gillum because he was adamant about, no, I'm shutting the shit down, which is standard. That's what they do. But why does the black women in Florida get a pass in nuance, but the 30% of black men did not? Explain that to me. What type of journalism is that?
Black women say they voted because it is their responsibility to do so. Okay? So if you look at this chart there, that's the green line, 76%. Now, 11% voted to support a ballot issue. We saw ballot issues in Florida, in Michigan, and a number of other states as well. Now, in Florida, when it came to the ballot issue, that number jumped to 45%. See the blue line right there. Now, of course, these were the issues highly important to black women. Issues like affordable health care, criminal justice, policing reform, equal rights and equal pay, hate crimes, racism, jobs, employment, and voting rights. Now, one of the areas I want to get with, talk to Melanie about, of course, what happened in Florida. Yes. A lot of people saw the initial exit polling that showed 18% of black women voting for Ron DeSantis. Now, if you study the numbers anywhere, first of all, Republicans will tell you black women hate the Republican Party more than anybody else, literally voting 92 to 94% for Democratic candidates. I can't remember the last time you actually saw a polling number where black women were supporting Republicans in double digits, definitely 18%. Remember, Andrew Gillum lost by 31,000 votes to Ron DeSantis in Florida. And so joining us right now is Melanie Campbell with the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation and the Black Women's Roundtable. So Melanie, I want to talk with Florida first. So can you explain that 18%? Because a lot of folks were like, oh my goodness, what the heck happened?
Right.
And I said, okay, you're going to be surprised when you find out what was the case there.
Well, there's the jury's still out on whether that is a good number, because talking to some of our political sciences folks like Elsie Scott and others, that first poll that came out about 18% had a very, very nominal number in it when it came to black women, and there is other studies, other numbers that will come out that say that number may even be 90+%. So I'm in the camp to say I want to see a little more depth in those numbers as the hardcore numbers come out to see if 18% is real. So that was because I was on the ground a lot.
But here's the thing. But here's the thing, though.
In that election, and I don't believe the number.
Here's the thing, though. That was a piece that was in the Wall Street Journal, where the point was made that for a lot of those black women, they voted for DeSantis on the issue of school choice. And so you have about 100,000 people who are in the Opportunity Scholarship program there in Florida. About 80 or 85% are black and brown. And so that group, I was in the meeting because also just folks know we do our show here with 50 Cans, Education Reform Group. I'm the board of directors, and so we actually do our show from this office. We actually pay rent here as well. And so we were in our meeting, and one of the things we talked about was that that group, they had very targeted advertising talking about Andrew Gillum's position on that Opportunity Scholarship and charter schools and school choice compared to Ron DeSantis, and they were aggressively targeting them. I also, in talking to some of those folks, said the Gillum people saw the evidence that it was making a difference and sort of asked them to pull back because they saw that they had erosion there as well, and so that 18% could explain that.
It could, but
of engagement is really, really good to see.
Now, if we don't get the House and Senate this year, then what? I don't want to say we, but if the Democrats don't.
You meant we.
No.
Yes, you Democrat.
Did. No.
What are you?
Black.
Anyway.
I represent black people.
Okay, but your political leanings are?
Only reason I'm registered as a Democrat because you can't vote locally if you're not. But I would rather be
independent. You also
can't
vote in primaries if you're not.
Yes, so I would rather be independent, but I can't be. So I'm registered as a Democrat.
You sound crazy right now. What was your question before we went down this rabbit hole? Of engagement is really, really good to see.
Now, if we don't get the House and Senate this year, then what? I don't want to say we, but if the Democrats don't.
You meant we.
No.
Yes, you Democrat.
Did. No.
What are you?
Black.
Anyway.
I represent black people.
Okay, but your political leanings are?
Only reason I'm registered as a Democrat because you can't vote locally if you're not. But I would rather be independent.
You also can't vote in primaries if you're not.
Yes, so I would rather be independent, but I can't be. So I'm registered as a Democrat.
You sound crazy right now. What was your question before we went down this rabbit hole?
Grown-ass man says, I don't mean we. She has the mitigated gall with full comfortability to tell him, no, you did mean we. You are a Democrat. Huh? The man says, I only do this because can't vote in New York without picking a side. If I had a choice, I'd be an independent. You sound crazy. Again, show me another situation where another woman of another race It's dictating to a man what his politics should be, how he should vote, what party he should stand for. That gynecocracy, man. I tell you, it's real. So another one of these bourgeoisie Negroes who are proud members of the gynecocracy is on The View with, let's just call her John McCain's daughter, because that's all the freaks she keep goddamn saying, right? That's her new name, John McCain's daughter. We don't even need to say her name no more. She's formerly known as, now she's John McCain's daughter. But she's confused and perplexed because Trump got more of the black vote than Romney or her daddy. I actually voted for John McCain. Whatever. And she's perplexed. She's like, well, what can we do to change that back around so that don't happen again? Right? Because the liberals don't like Trump and his own party don't like him either. And again, no nuance. No black men could be heavily involved in blue collar work and that was hurt by crooked ass Hillary and her policies. No. No situation with the healthcare. No. No, you a small business owner. She wants to raise corporate taxes. You own a corporation. No. No nuance. No actual reasons why you think that as the small percentage, right? It's 13%, goddammit. I know that's millions of people, but god, it's 13%. You couldn't find no nuance into that to say? This dude who says all these big words and talks real fast but don't really be saying shit? You couldn't find one example of why educated black men will vote for Trump over crooked ass Hillary? What do you think a proud member of the gynecocracy and the promoter of the matriarchy in the black community would say to other men on why they voted for Trump?
Terms. Right. It fascinates me. Let me just ask a simple question, because I don't completely understand how President Trump got more of the black vote than my father or Mitt Romney.
Yeah, that's
what
crazy.
Shifted, and what can unshift back to midterms?
Yeah. 13% of black men voted for Donald Trump.
Yes.
Part of that is patriarchy and sexism. Black men, too, believe it or not, believe some of the same, cooked over values of patriarchy, too. But 54%.
Terms.
Right.
It fascinates me. Let me just ask a simple question, because I don't completely understand how President Trump got more of the black vote than my father or Mitt Romney.
Yeah, that's
what
crazy.
Shifted, and what can unshift back to midterms?
Yeah. 13% of black men voted for Donald Trump.
Yes.
Part of that is patriarchy and sexism. Black men, too, believe it or not, believe some of the same, cooked over values of patriarchy, too. But 54%.
So, black men, you believe some of the evil patriarchy, homophobic, sexist things that white men believe. That's why you voted for Donald Trump. And then he shifted and went into white women, which I would say black men and white women were mostly blamed for Donald Trump's winning the election. But again, no nuance. No, all the intelligence in this man's head. And his answer was, black men subscribe to the patriarchy. That's why they voted for Trump. Have you looked at our community? Do you see fucking patriarchy? But that's what happens when you work for the gynecocracy and you're a proud member of chopping off your balls to uplift women. So this is why the Boule bird is mad dangerous, right? I hear everybody say that, but he is. Nyla Speaks did the whole little sleeper show thing about him, and she's correcting the fact that he does just enough to smooth it over and play both sides, right? And just to be a little trickster. Now, again, last year, or 2 years ago when the election happened, I heard him call black men stupid for voting for Trump, right? But he's done segments acknowledging that the Democratic Party does not mess with black men and don't do enough to entertain them or get them. He's had segments where he's told his guests, like, yo, who are posters and help on campaigns, like, yo, y'all need to get more black men voted. So it's like, on one hand, he can shit on black men for not voting for Democrats, even though he knows that they don't come out and get you, right? He knows that all these politicians, he claimed he went to Hillary and told her, y'all need to hire black staffers, you need to go on black media. All these things he knows that Democrats do not do for black people, be at their court, they want their votes, but they won't even hire you to be on a staffer in their administration. They won't even place ads and spend ad dollars on black media. Hillary people told Roland, if I want to reach black women, I'm gonna go on Ellen. Huh? Not News One, right? Not Unfiltered on YouTube. She said she'll go to Ellen if she wants to reach black women. So he knows the game. He knows what's going on. But he gets to play both sides. Right? And I think there's one segment he got. So this is the first video is Roland and his Boule Bird buddies shitting on black men for not voting like black women, right? Cool. Proud members of the gynecocracy. But then a few words down, do Democrats have a black male problem? That was more him targeting Jason Whitlock and Tariq Nasheed, but at the same time trying to acknowledge, yeah, they do have a problem. Then there's the fake conscious Negroes that he's coming at, to Jason Blacks and Tyreeks or whatever, right? So he did a lot of videos back to back shitting on black men for not voting the way he wants them to vote. After he called them stupid 2 years ago for voting the way they wanted to vote. So that's like the bullshit of this whole situation. Then they knock off all the people who don't want to vote. They get them out the way. And then they attack the people who vote third party, who vote Republican, who write in a candidate. It's like they're telling you who the fuck to vote for. Like they're telling you, yo, come over here on this damn Democrat plantation and stay here, boy. Don't leave. Don't think about yourself. Angelique Rye told Charlamagne, you crazy, when he said, I'm an independent. She told him, no, you're not. Who does that? What other race of women can do that to their men and tell them what they are? She told him that shit like she was his woman. Like, no, you are a Democrat. You're not an independent. Huh? Whatever.
Focus, energy, and attention on black women.
Sure.
Where in the hell are organized black men?
That's a good question. You stumped me there.
I mean, 'cause what's been interesting is that in 2012, there was a 9-point gap between black men and black women. So, in terms of the numbers who voted for President Obama.
Right.
In 2016, exact same thing.
Yeah.
94% of black women supported Hillary Clinton. 85% of black men supported Hillary Clinton. It's the exact same 9-point gap.
Yeah.
And one of the things that, when, look, I was trying to get, frankly, both candidates, surrogates on the air. And I told Hillary Clinton's campaign, where are y'all black men? I said, you've got John Legend, you got Pharrell, you've got Magic Johnson, you got Alvin Brown, former mayor of Jacksonville. Why the hell y'all aren't putting them out there? I'm like, something's going on here. And when you look at the support of Donald Trump, black women hate the Republican Party. His black support is coming from black men.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a couple of things. I think black men may be somewhat more cynical still about politics. I mean, let's face it, a lot of times we talk to brothers, and they say, what's the point in voting? Mark and Roland, it ain't going to change nothing. Nothing's going to change. And also, quite frankly, I think we need to acknowledge, sometimes even black men assimilate in the larger society. I debated some brothers who said, couldn't a woman be president? You can't have a woman in the White House. So Donald Trump has that swagger, that confrontational, aggressive nature, a lot of testosterone going, at least that's what he portrays himself to have. I don't think he really has it. And I'm sure some people go for that. But look, I was with Gwen Moore at the Congressional Black Caucus the other day, and she said, the last day of the caucus, she said one of the most profound things, Roland. She said, you all, the people who aren't voting are not in the abstract. They're people you and I know.
Right.
They sit at our dinner table and eat our food. Some of them sleep next to us in the bed. She told a story about a pair of twins she knew. One twin voted and the other one didn't. She said, how does that happen? How does a twin vote and the other one doesn't bother to go vote?
Right.
So really, as usual, oftentimes black women have to carry a lot of weight. Sisters, you got to say to us brothers, look, you got to go vote. You got to get out. Matter of fact, some of y'all might need to say to some of these brothers, if we're going to continue in whatever arrangement we continuing. I want to see a voter registration card.
Basically, what Mark is saying, no vote, no sex. No vote, no eating.
Basically,
no
that's what
vote,
we gotta
no
do.
cooking.
But brothers got to come up.
But I have been surprised that after the Doug Jones election in Alabama, and there was so much attention, and the great work that DeWanna Watson is doing, Latasha Brown, Adrian Shropshire, Collective PAC with Quentin and Stephanie. I have been surprised that no one has stepped up and said, we're going to have an initiative that specifically targets black men.
Well, that's true, and that's probably something that's missing. I mean, honestly, I don't know that there's an initiative that specifically targets black women. I think it's just been an organic type of a thing where black women.
Oh no, they're targeting them. I mean, what I mean is, you have these sisters who are very vocal, and they're making it clear that they are energizing and going after black men. When I look at the report that we live streamed last week that the Black Women's Roundtable put out, where you had all those sisters who were in a particular room at Congressional Black Caucus, there was not a comparable room of just brothers talking about brothers and electoral politics.
But like you said, though, I mean, a lot of the sisters like Latasha, I mean, I know that they're registering and targeting black men.
Right.
I just think, though, the focus is long overdue. I think what's happening is people coming to the realization of the importance of black women and the role they played, especially in light of Doug Jones, and especially because he was someone.
Enough for all that. So, you heard the talking and turning and flipping and flopping of nothing being said. Notice how they're equating the people who didn't vote with the black men who voted Republican. Roland said that black women hate Republicans, even though Trump did get 4% of black women. That is hundreds of thousands of people. Well, he's going to act like that don't matter. But they conflate the people who didn't vote with the black men who voted Republican. So the problem is not that the black men didn't vote enough for them. The problem is they didn't vote for who you wanted them to vote for, right? You got up there and you did the wobble with Hillary, and you were supposed to deliver her the black male vote, and you didn't. You failed, and so did your TV show. But that's not the point. Why is this, putting, again, why are we, is there other groups of men and women putting their genders apart from each other over politics, right? Do black men have to respond and act like black women the way they move in the political realm? Can men operate the way they want to operate? He said that black men are cynical after saying that, think about it. He said that the black men are cynical and just don't believe in it, whatever, which that's some validity for them to have, because they're at the bottom of the barrel. No one cares about their plight. It is what it is. You see right now, Kamala Harris and Cory Moist Bookers, they did this criminal justice thing, right? But their claim to fame was getting women out of prison. Now think about that. You know that there's more black men in prison, incarcerated, percentage-wise, than any other part of the world, right? The highest concentration of black men locked up is in America, more than many other developed countries, right? So why would Kamala Harris and Cory Booker come out specifically focusing on female presence when I guess if you remember Yvette Cornell Tone Talk say that black men are incarcerated 1 per 100,000 and black women are 1 per 10,000, something like that. The number's so small, it's minuscule. But what the liberals will do will say, well, the newest form of women incarcerated is women, and it moved the percentage point, but it's nowhere near the amount of incarceration rate that black men are. But again, there's a reason why Cory Booker and Kamala Harris, they coming out and fighting for women who are incarcerated. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris has supported policies that has gotten women and men locked up. Kamala Harris has supported policies that would lock up mothers for their kids not going to school. I just don't get this shit, man. But yeah, politics does illustrate that we are a gynecocracy heavily. When we get pitted against the women, and we're showed shame on you, black man, you didn't do what the black women did, despite the fact that we all know that the Democrats Again, they don't hire no staffers. They're not spending their money on black media. That was the beef between Donald Brazile and Hillary. Donald Brazile was like, yo, we got to go out there. We got to get flyers. We got to put things on people's lawns. We got to do all this stuff. And Hillary would not let Donald Brazile spend the money she needed to spend to get out there and mobilize. So you bragging about what you're doing for the Democratic Party while complaining about what they're not doing for you back in return. And then somehow black men get shitted on because we don't want to participate in that bullshit.
Women need to vote because, one, we are increasing in number as the head of our household. So if black women vote, everything changes. And that's not an overstatement. That's not a guess. That is facts and figures.
We have a voice, and our voice matters. We have to encourage, embrace, and educate our young women. And only we can do that. So I feel that it's very important for us to get our voice heard.
We are the leaders. We lead everywhere we go. We may not carry the title, but we influence and we change the landscape of wherever we are.
And this election is too important for us not to show up and show up in numbers.
Never forget your sacrifice. We will continue to lift your name and praise your sacrifice, and God knows we're willing to continue your work. Let us go out here today committed to register many more people to vote.
Women vote. We are mothers, daughters, sisters, girlfriends, and sorors. We are trendsetters, social mavens, activists, and influencers. Fact. In 2008 and 2012, black women voted in record numbers, demonstrating that we are the building blocks of a winning coalition. But despite our growing voting and economic influence, America's 23 million black women's voices are still the most overlooked in the political process. Black women vote by sharing our stories and organizing our networks. We shape and influence national conversations, from hashtag Black Girl Magic to hashtag Say Her Name. We know that there is power in numbers, and we are stronger together. We know that when you fire up a black woman, she does not go to the polls alone. She brings her house, her block, her church, her sorority. Some are expecting us to stay home. Let's prove them wrong.